So, Trey Lance did not look that hot in his first preseason game of this season with the 49ers in a weird, uncharacteristic loss to the Las Vegas Raiders with, what's his name, Aiden O'Connell, I believe the quarterback is for the Raiders, at the helm of that squad. Tearing it up on the field. We'll talk about that after the break. But Trey Lance got sacked 4 times, and I believe their first 4 possessions was a total of, I think, 4 minutes total on the play time. It did not look good, and he had 2 dropped interceptions in that first half that should have been picked off. And I have a couple of clips here of those interceptions. But before I jump into that, I want to know what's your impression of Trey Lance, and then we're going to talk about later on in this topic alone, but also of Sam Darnold in their first preseason game of this season.
Well, I watched a little bit of that game, and I thought, and I listened to a lot of the commentary afterwards, and they ripped. They ripped Trey Lance, but his stats actually didn't look that bad. 10 of 15, 112 yards, over 100 quarterback rating. But yeah, as you said, he's lucky that 2 passes weren't intercepted, and he did get sacked 4 times. I mean, I don't know. He's a pretty quick guy. I don't know why he couldn't avoid some of that and just throw the ball out of bounds. But he got sacked 4 times, so that didn't say much for the offensive line. I think it's a pretty small sample, and you're playing with players that are not going to be starters in the regular season. So I give him a pass. I think I need to see a little more of a sample of his play before we write him off. And I'm pretty sure the 49ers feel the same way. Darnold looked a little better. He was 8 of 14, 87 yards, but I don't trust that guy. I don't think he's a world beater. So I think these guys are slugging it out for who's going to back up Brock Purdy. I don't think they have a shot at being the starter.
And that's where that is where I agree with you. This is not for who's going to be the starting quarterback at the 49ers. This is who is going to back up Brock Purdy when I think Brock Purdy got the 100% okay to go. But if he's 90% ready to go, who's going to be his backup? Otherwise, it's, who's quarterback 2, quarterback 3. There is a 0% chance Trey Lance or Sam Darnold will be the starting quarterback in week 1. Brock Purdy is the starter. Mr. Irrelevant is going to be the future of the 49ers. It's not move up a bunch of first-round picks to draft number 3 and get Trey Lance. And it's not, previous bust Sam Darnold. However, last year, Sam Darnold put his team in a position to actually make the playoffs after the Baker Mayfield fiasco. That was a complete mess. And then XFL quarterback P.J. Walker took over for, a little bit there. And then Sam Darnold had an opportunity, if he beat the Bucs, to potentially move his team into the playoffs.
But he didn't.
That's because Brady decided to have one vintage game. That was the only game where we're like, damn, that's Tom Brady. But, it turned out to be, he was close, but of course, wasn't there. I want to talk about these interceptions here, okay? Would have been interceptions here. Because I think, I have it right here. Trey Lance's passer rating, which I think is, a relatively important stat, was 111.0. He went 10 of 15, 112 yards, 1 touchdown. You take that touchdown away, then you add on the 2 picks. I think his passer rating plummets down to like 70 or below if you include those two interceptions. And let's actually bring up those interceptions right now, or would have been. This one was probably, you could already put this in the luckiest play this season. A tipped interception into the hands of a waiting tight end right there. And honestly, this was a bad throw. Over the middle of the field in a triangle of Raiders defenders, and it got tipped to a tight end for a touchdown. I mean, this is the 30th ranked secondary. No duh, they're the 30th ranked secondary. They can't hold on to an interception. Yeah. Well, how about this one? A linebacker staring down Trey Lance. Trey Lance doesn't do anything to fake him out. Me and you could have caught that interception. I mean, come on. It was right. He followed his eyes, didn't do anything. Could have been a simple interception that, obviously got dropped. What about Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold actually had the best throw for the 49ers, and it was an absolute dime. This is what Sam Darnold's throw along the sideline. This is a beautiful placement ball, a beautiful catch, a massive gain. That was the best throw of the entire game, at least for the 49ers. Sam Darnold had the best throw. He didn't really even play that much. I think he had 8 total passes in the game. So I think, we could have seen Sam Darnold out there a little bit more. And if I had to make my prediction there, I think Sam Darnold pushed a little bit farther ahead of Trey Lance just because Trey Lance got extremely lucky. And also, Trey Lance did not look comfortable in the pocket. As being athletic as he is, 6'4", 220, I mean, he was nervous. He didn't really even use his athleticism that much. He had one rushing attempt for 2 yards. And might I also add, in the first, I believe it was the first quarter, they had a net gain of 1 yard. 1 yard after one quarter. And that's with Trey Lance at the helm of being your quarterback.
Yeah.
He was nervous. This is his third year in the NFL, third year in the system. He was the rawest quarterback. And actually, unlike Russell Wilson, we're going to talk about him at the end of the show today. Russell Wilson had 55 sacks last year and held on to the ball too much. Yesterday, Russell Wilson actually got rid of the ball quicker, and Trey Lance, being probably the more athletic version of Russell Wilson, the younger version of Russell Wilson, was way too antsy, completely way too antsy in the pocket, didn't know where to go with the ball. He pump faked a couple times in the pocket where if he just pulled the trigger, it either would have been an incomplete pass and he wouldn't have gotten sacked, or it could have been a completion. Trey Lance looks nervous, third year in the system. I don't trust him. And Kyle Shanahan has already said great things about Sam Darnold, so he could revive his career with the 49ers. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really hear those types of things about Trey Lance.
But Darnold had 14 passes. He completed 8 of them.
He had 5. What do you mean? He had 8 pass attempts.
No, 8 of 14.
I have it here, 5 of 8 for Sam Darnold.
Oh, yeah?
10 of 15 for Trey Lance, and then 5 of 8 from Brandon Allen. 5 of 8 for 84 yards. So he even had more, yards per completion at 10.5.
My thought is that the 49ers are going to keep 3 quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the injury history that they've been having with their quarterbacks getting hurt.
Absolutely. And especially with the new quarterback.
Actually, I don't know why. A lot of people run that same offense that Shanahan has.
About half the league, yeah.
Yeah, and they don't seem to have these kinds of problems, but I'm pretty sure San Francisco will keep all 3 of them.
And I think now with that third quarterback rule, it's not a roster spot. I believe that's what it is, an emergency quarterback. It's not a roster spot. I think we could see more teams do that. And I think right now what's going to happen is Brandon Allen's not going to be on the team. He's either going to go to the practice squad or get released. It'll be Brock Purdy, if this is the order of the depth chart, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Trey Lance. And my guess would be, if Trey Lance, you moved up 3, you used 3 first-round picks and another pick, I believe, to go up against Trey Lance. He barely played. He's dealing with injuries, his lack of confidence. You decide to move him up beyond Jimmy G, but then decide to retain Jimmy G when Trey Lance didn't really show a tremendous amount of injury concern. I think he had 1 injury the season before, but he still decided to re-sign Jimmy G with Jimmy G's injury history.
Who is the 4th quarterback that they have?
Brandon Allen. He went 5 of 8 for 36 yards.
He's not a rookie, right?
No, he's been around for a little while.
So they may play him some in the preseason, put him on the taxi squad, right? Then have the 3 quarterbacks, and it doesn't cost them a roster spot. And then at the trade deadline, maybe they'll trade Trey Lance.
That's what I think.
And then they could bring up Brandon Allen. He could be the 3rd quarterback.
I mean, if I had to, I would trade Trey Lance. Here's the thing. If he sits on your bench, he's just a rotting roster spot. He's rotting value. You spent 3 first-round picks to go up and get him, and you're not going to use him. And I honestly, that's the smart decision because Brock Purdy looked like this significantly better quarterback. So if you're telling me now, I moved up 3 first-round picks to get him, and my guess would be his value right now is what, a 4th-round pick at the very best, and that's if a team is desperate. You give up a 4th-round pick for him?
Okay, well, again, as I say, it's a small sample. He's only in there for, half? Was he played the first half?
I believe he played the first half.
The first half. He hasn't played in a long time. It's a preseason game, and not many quality players out there, particularly in the offensive line for the 49ers. My God, he did get sacked 4 times. So I'd give it another preseason game or 2. And then we'll be in a better position to evaluate it, I think. That's my thought. Yeah.
I'm saying 3 years in the system now, you don't seem to really have grown confidence.
Yeah, but last year he was hurt almost the whole season.
Right, but that was during the season. What about during OTAs and training camp and mini camp? They said it was his team, and they made him the starter. But then the year before that, he was coming in as a Super Bowl quarterback. They've seen him in camp and during practice for 3 years. And now this season, he won't even really I guarantee you, he won't get a chance to start. And if I had to take a wild shot in the dark guess, the only chance he gets, the only opportunity he would start is if Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy go down. Because I think Sam Darnold will get the roster spot above him, and he'll be relegated to QB3.
Yeah.
Because I think Sam Darnold looked better. He looked like the more explosive quarterback, and obviously he looked like the more experienced quarterback. We've seen it now with young quarterbacks versus veterans. Hell, not even like that long of a veteran, like Davis Mills We saw it go from C.J. Stroud to Davis Mills, and the offense picked up tempo, it picked up speed. Davis Mills, they moved off him for C.J. Stroud. Davis Mills looked like the better quarterback. I can understand he's a rookie. He's jittery.
The C.J. Stroud, he looked very nervous before the game.
He did.
And they only let him play 3 series, right? He only played 3 series. So, again, a very small sample. He's just getting started in the NFL. Davis Mills, they've had several years to look at him. They don't think he's the future of the team. So, we'll see.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.